Good afternoon, everyone. This is Dr. Diggs. It's another beautiful day out here in the Pacific Northwest. Today, we're going to be talking about the two-headed dragon raid. We're going to be talking about some pretty high-level strategies, and we're also going to be talking about how some people have been able to solo it, what teams they're using, and how, if you don't have a Kane or you're not able to solo, how you might be able to get in on some Ruin Stern action, and maybe make it towards a solo Thamasa. So for the majority of players out there who are going to be grinding this raid, they're going to be having a Kane level 99, or they're going to be trying to solo or duo a group to try and build up the points in order to get a solo Thamasa. If you're one of those players out there who maybe you're a Dolphin, maybe you are free to play and you have a couple units, but you don't have all the units that you need for this, or you don't have Kane, there are a couple ways you can jump into this. The first way, and I'm going to post a Discord link down below, the first way is to farm the pink flan. And you may not be able to get a +5 this way, but you're going to be able to get a significant amount of tokens. Now, you can go to the Discord link that I provided, which is like a massive Discord for all the raid communities. And if you have any type of ice unit, which everyone should have access to, you will be able to farm the pink flan pretty regularly. So that's going to be Medina, that's going to be Gilgamesh, that's going to be Agrius, that's going to be almost any ice unit you can imagine. They don't even have to be level 99. You can just join the group. Most of the time we just auto the pink flan and you finish it up, and if you kill it in one shot, you do, and if you don't, you don't. That's going to be my first recommendation. Now, let's say you actually have a unit like Stern or Shadowlynx as well. Stern and Shadowlynx can be used at top tier raid performance if you do have access to Ziza's Bells. Now, a strategy that I've seen is triple Kane and Ziza's Bells Shadowlynx, or triple Kane and Ziza Bells Stern. Either way, both of those units have access to jump and can deal damage that's piercing alongside Kane. The only real requirement for top level raids is going to be the Ziza Bells for those units. Now, I am sure there are other compositions you could use. I think for the most part though, that's what most people are using. There are a couple other niche builds that we do see around. I think they might not be worth the trouble though, and you might be better off just going on the pink flan farming route. Now, if you are a top tier player or a spender and you're in level 100, or you whaled out for Kane, or you have Kane, we can talk about some of the different strategies that we're seeing at high level play in this raid. Specifically, what we're seeing a lot of, if you have just Kane, for example, is we're seeing a lot of 4x Kane rooms, and I'll just pull up my build here that I use. And you're seeing a lot of 4x Kane rooms, and you're seeing them paired with two-headed dragon VC, you're seeing Diablos, you're seeing Ziza's Bells paired with the Wind Spear. And while the Drakeshorn Spear deals more damage, you actually need to hit a certain agility threshold depending on your position with Kane in order to pop Bells first. So for example, if you're in slot 1, so if you're hosting the room, you can actually run a full auto Kane. Most of the other people who are either joining rooms with Kane or who are in slot 2, 3, or 4 will actually have to activate Ziza's Bells before they turn on their auto, just because what's going to happen is if you are in those slots and two-headed dragon moves before you, your Kane's just going to attack two-headed dragon, or they're going to turn and attack the light elemental. And so activating Ziza's Bells if you're in slot 2, 3, and 4 is going to be really important. If you're in slot 1, if you're the host and you have high enough agility, you will be able to just full auto it, leaving Ziza's Bells on and then having him follow up with a limit break. Now, the Wind Spear and Ziza's Bells is not enough agility in order to full auto with Kane in slot 1 if you are hosting. You will need to have a high agility Esper equipped, which is why I have Odin equipped on Kane. You might be able to get by with Hermes sandals potentially, but I'm not sure how effective that would be. I don't have Hermes sandals, so I was not able to test it. But you really need to hit the certain agility threshold, and I can tell you my agility is 85, And I know 85 works, so if you can hit 85 agility on your Kane, you're probably going to be fine. Now, as I was saying, you are going to need Ziza's Bells. You are going to be able to do this if like a Stern joins your room and he has Ziza's Bells, or a Shadow Lynx joins your room and they have Ziza's Bells. One of the things that I've noticed does mess a lot of people up on this raid, especially in the higher tiers, is the utilization of Espers. So make sure whatever Esper you have on, you have your Esper ability turned off, because if you are running auto, they will utilize that Esper ability and it can potentially mess up your chains, or it can kind of throw your rhythm off. Now, I'm not going to show you an auto room for Kanes because it's pretty self-explanatory. What we are going to talk about though is abilities to leave on and off on your Kane. For me, I see a lot of players leaving Dragon Raid and Brain Piercer on. I don't think you need to leave those on. I think as long as you leave Piercing Lance and Blood Lance on, you will be fine. You can turn off Hazard Thrust and Spear Swipe. I see a lot of players doing Dragon Raid, and I'm not sure it's fully necessary, unless maybe you want to open up with a capped damage right away. I also see a lot of players, because they have Dragon Raid unlocked and they go full auto, and they don't pop their Ziza's Bells, their Kanes then jump in and use Dragon Raid, which is a much higher AP ability than maybe they want to use. So it kind of just throws everything off, so make sure you adjust that Dragon Raid there. If you are wanting to reliably land slow from Kane as well, you are going to want about 80 Faith. So for those of you that are wondering why my Kane's Faith is 80, because I'm primarily in slot 1, I do want to actually slow the Dragon. Now, let's talk about full auto compositions, because full auto compositions are a thing that are out there and a thing that's being talked about right now. And almost every single auto composition that I've seen or that I've done relies quite heavily on RNG. And there are a couple of ways you can mitigate that RNG, but let's look at a couple of the groups that I have. So this was the first group that was sent to me. A lot of it's going to be Dark Slash utilizing Gilgamesh. There are a couple groups that do utilize Shadow Lynx as well. If you do want to see an example of a lot of solo groups, I would go to wotv.info. It's a very good updated raid information website. And you can see here it utilizes different VC cards, different setups, and I finally settled on this setup, and this seems to be the most reliable currently. The one thing I want to change in this setup is I potentially want to replace Odin and Behemoth, and I want to get Two-Headed Dragon in here for the light resistance, and I want to get in potentially, where is it? Demon Wall. I want to get in Demon Wall for the light resistance as well, just so that I have some more resistance on Stern and Ruin Stern, because the biggest problem you're going to run into is, of course, that Ruin Stern or Stern is going to die, and that causes problems. You can put on Evasion, but I find Evasion is really not reliable in this battle. I personally have found that putting Elemental Resistance has been pretty good with the Alexandrite Ring. I've also found that putting Spirit up on my Ruin Stern has been good, and that's kind of what I'm looking at right now. In terms of VC cards, you do need Exorcist if you are going to be running Stern, because you want to have access to the triple trick ability for chaining, dark, and slash. Very important, and it's a very powerful ability. Diablos pretty much entirely required, Two-Headed Dragon as well. The fourth VC though, you can adjust a little bit. I've seen everything from Moraga here to Ifrit here to Igaion here to you name it. I've probably seen it in this slot. I've seen Agility up, the Final Fantasy Tactics card. I've seen a lot of different compositions here. And this is by far not a perfect composition. And I'll tell you right now, if someone out there is telling you they have a perfect solo composition, they're lying to you. Because I've probably tried, 7 or 8 different solo compositions that people have sent to me. And every single one of them has the caveat, but if Ruin Stern dies or Stern dies due to countering, you're screwed. Like, that's what everybody sends to me. All of the compositions that I've seen. So just be aware of that. Let's go ahead and run it once just so I can show you guys what it's like. For those of you guys that don't know too, this is actually my first raid that I've actually pursued and actually done a whole bunch of stuff for. So it's actually pretty exciting for me. I'm learning a lot about solo compositions. I know probably the first relevant solo composition really came around Behemoth is what I'm hearing, but I'm really excited to be able to solo this raid when I can. This is really key here, how you handle the light elemental. There's a couple different ways of doing it. If you don't run Venera, Gilgamesh will actually Kotetsu. So like if the light elemental was not dead right now, Gilgamesh would Kotetsu both the element and the two-headed dragon. So there have been times where I've turned off Venera's poison sting, and what happens then is positioning can sometimes get a little bit whack and it can mess up. What's also critical as well is that Hazard Break hits the elementals as well. And you can see already this is going to be potentially a problematic run because my Ruin Stern is at really low health. So if a lot of counters go off, he might actually be in a lot of danger. You can see he's within 1 hit range. This is where you cross your fingers, guys. And you can actually see, I think I only used 1 triple trick so far because I actually accidentally have Paralyzing Edge set on Stern. So he's using Paralyzing Edge right now. So you might be able to get away with not having triple trick, but I think it's a pretty vital VC, and I think you really are going to need it. So that's what it looks like. That's what my solo looks like. If you have more questions, you can always contact me directly on the Discord. I'll definitely be working on this setup too, because I do want to max 10 out of 10 resonance on Demon Wall and on Two-Headed Dragon to get some more Light Killer. And one other thing I want to do with this composition is I do want to get another Golden Blade +5 for Stern, because I'm currently using a really weak Rune Blade +4. And I'm like, holy shit, I need to get a better weapon than this for Stern. But I was not expecting to be using Stern on this raid, and thankfully there's a Golden Blade farm right now. Couple other options as well. My Venera is not fully decked out, so I only have a +3 Mage Masher on her, and it's not even a capped attack Mage Masher. So I'm probably going to be working on maxing out her Mage Masher tonight, and you might even be able to find some other combinations here that'll make it a little bit more reliable. Anyway, everyone, I hope you found this video useful. I hope having discussions about top tier rating doesn't turn a lot of you guys off. And as always, if you are planning on supporting me, make sure you use my affiliate link, dig.gs/coins. Currently, dig.gs/offer is all sold out, but you can still support me by buying Amazon coins from dig.gs/coins. And I appreciate it. It's how I make my living. Merry Christmas, everyone, and have a great rest of your day.